Hopefully my internet is stable this time. Last time, I swear it was like the second I pushed record and it was like, okay. All right. So I wanted to first off share my experience so far in talking about the 3-in-1 sale. Um, so far, I've just been using it in emails largely, and mostly people who have already requested information at some point in the past. And just today, I got 3 or 4 people to respond, which is a lot, saying that they were super interested. And it's funny because seriously, these are people who we had talked about it in the past, and before it was $160. Now it's $140. That's not that big of a change, but it's the way that I'm talking about it makes it seem like a brand new deal and a steal of a deal that they hadn't thought about it this way before, right? And I just think the way that in that graphic, like it's showing them the value of what they're getting right away. They're saying, oh, fitness, yeah, I can see why that would be $100. And oh, nutrition, I can see how that would be $120. Oh, I can see how this shake would be this much. So I'm getting all of that for just $140. Like in their brain, it's leading them to see lots of value for a good deal. Where otherwise we often say, we have this super discounted package and you're getting all of this stuff for this price. We know what all that stuff costs. They don't know that, right? And a lot of the times as they're reading this list, they're like, oh, I only need like one of those things. How much does it cost for one of those things? And then they feel like they're getting ripped off when they realize one of those things costs about the same as the whole package, right? It's not the way that we want their brains to go. So like sale months, I was like, this is the perfect time to like show them a different way of looking at it that makes them realize like it's a great deal. I'm not trying to rip you off. You're just getting all of this stuff for a crazy good price, right? So anyways, I still am now trying to figure out how to like get them the details without overwhelming them, but making them realize it's not the exact same thing that I've been talking about every single time. Because I've literally had people who have asked me for information like lots of times, and now they're saying, okay, I'm in with this package deal. I'm like, okay, so how do I show you that how do I not show you that it's literally the same thing that we've always been talking about? It's just $20 cheaper. Because in their head, they're thinking, this is great, I'm in. So anyways, I'm still working on that piece, but I do, if you haven't followed up with people from the past and talked about it in that way, I really strongly would suggest it because it's already working really well for me. It was kind of a test thing that I honestly didn't know how it's going to go, but it's going well so far. I don't know, have you tried it at all, Sally, with any of your follow-ups?
I have not, but this is a great reminder. I am really, I need to get in gear here and reach out to people because I have a list of people. And honestly, I think what I've learned too is like, people have to see it over and over and over again. Like, I feel like hardly ever the first time they see it, they say yes. Hardly ever.
Right.
They talk to you about it. I think, did they even read the email? Did they read the first thing that I sent them? Are they even going to notice that it's a different? I mean,
Yeah, no, you're
they
probably right.
don't remember. Like,
Yeah.
people are so busy and so scattered, and I can't tell you how many times I've been like, "Oh, I need to buy this." And then I like go put it in a shopping cart and then forget about it because I get interrupted. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I think I was going to get that. Like, I swear that's what people do to us.
Oh, for sure. I do the same thing. I've done it to lots of people. I know that I have. And it's like, if they don't bother me about it, I'm probably not going to do it. And it's not because I don't want to. Other things take my attention then. Yeah. So we need to remember that too. You're totally right. But yeah, I just think sometimes when we can say it in a different way, it
Yeah.
makes it feel like we're not being annoying. We're
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
And we're giving them a PSA, like have a new sale going on in case you might be interested. Right. So it's just an easy way to reach back out to people. And on that note, I was going to say too, that I've been thinking more about how I can, because especially after we went over this Instagram training, I went through a 5-day one. It totally blew my mind. And I'm already seeing a difference in my Instagram. But I don't want to get into all that right now. But part of it on Instagram for sure, you have to post differently for both of them if you want them to. Facebook versus Instagram, the audiences want different things from you. So if you want to be super successful in both, you need to post differently, which I honestly, most of us don't have the bandwidth for that. So you kind of have to pick and choose, and anyways, prioritize how you need to. But one thing I did learn that, especially on Instagram, is that people are looking for like value, right? Like they need something in it for them. It's not like Facebook where you just want to read about your friends' stories and be entertained. On Instagram, like they want you to add value to their life, right? That's why they're following you. And so, and I know last year this time I did a whole like free week. And so that was really overwhelming, honestly. And I'm like, it was good, but I just don't have the bandwidth for that. And I just don't think it was a good investment of my time. So anyways, long story short, what I plan on doing for the next couple months for sure is I'm going to try to at least have one post every week be focused on giving them some piece of free value that I can email them. Like some of the ideas that I had, and I want it to be something that I need to email them because then I get their email address. Because the more I think that's one of the big shifts that I made from going from Success Club 10 consistently to Success Club 20. I put more emphasis on not only reaching people on social media, but getting in their email inboxes too. And I find people are actually really receptive and appreciative of that. And I can even see in my tracker how many times they've gone back and viewed it. So I can see like, oh, you literally came back to this email 7 times. Like you clearly are interested if you're going back and looking at it 7 times. And I think it's because then people have it where they can access it versus social media. Like once they scroll past, like who knows? Anyway, so I'm really trying to build up my email list because I know that I can convert people well on that. And so, and even if you don't do emails and stuff, I still think it's a good idea just to give people free value. And if it's not an entire week, if that's too overwhelming, then just do one post a week where it's just like your goal is just to share something with them, and make sure that you know who you're sharing it with, whether it be a personal message that you send them or an email or whatever. Like some of the ideas that I had were like, one is just that simple Beachbody On Demand gives you like a free sample workout list, right? So like one could be as simple as like, let me send you a whole PDF of a whole bunch of our samples of workouts. Another one is like thinking about what you've done in the past. Like I said, last year, I did a whole week of free sweets week. And so then I compiled all that into PDF. And I was like, I have so many new people and new followers maybe that didn't see that. So one post, I can just offer up that same PDF from last year. Some of those people probably have it and probably lost it and won it again, right? There's lots of reasons. So sending that again, having, let's see, what else did I have? Like my morning routine. I have that all typed up. What are some of my positive affirmations? What are some of my like favorite devotionals? Like I could type that up and send that to people. Like a take back the kitchen week. We haven't done that for a very long time. So like just something so that on Facebook, I think who knows how it's going to be received, but I know on Instagram, like those people really appreciate and expect us to be giving them value. And the more that we can do that, the better, because it starts creating those relationships, those conversations. And it's an easy, like just add on to the end of a post. Like it could just be a normal post, like, oh, I'll just send it your way. Like, right. So anyways, I'm going to try to do that more often. And try to kind of I'm hoping for Fridays, like freebie Fridays, to get in a habit of doing it. But I just wanted to offer that up too, if it was helpful for anyone to think about doing that. Okay, so now since I've already rambled for that long, I want to hear what Sally has to say about stories. I'm hoping to actually do a series tonight. I haven't done them in like a long time. So looking to hear all your advice and wisdom.
So there's 2 kind of concepts that I want to share about how I think about when I create stories. But part of it too is making it your own. Like part of it, it's like in order to make it genuine, you have to listen to what I say and turn it into what you do. Like you don't necessarily watch my stories and make yours look like mine. Like your stories have to be yours. But honestly, so I enjoy social media. I do enjoy it. However, I always thought stories were stupid. I was like, what? Why would you make, what is this? Like, it's like 10 seconds and it disappeared. Like, what in the world? Like, I didn't watch stories. I didn't think there was any purpose for them. So I didn't come into this thinking that they were cool or worth time or anything. But then they tell you to do it, and I guess another thing too is like they tell you like, oh, post stories every hour or something. I don't have the capacity to do that. I When I'm at work, I do not feel professional if I'm like, if it's my lunch break or something maybe, but I feel like I have to draw a line there. So I put them up when I have ideas, and I try to maybe do a few in the morning before work starts, and maybe a few in the afternoon, or a few before I go to bed, or even just one. Like, I'll, even if I just put like 2 or 3 up, I try to, like, at the very least before I go to bed, put a couple things on there. And like, for example, like, I don't always, my dream is that I get up early enough that I can work out, and I can take video clips of myself working out, and I can talk a little bit after my workout, and then get that up on my stories before I go to work. Never ever do I have enough time to do that. I never do it. So I've just started where if I get those clips, I just save them until whenever I have time to do it. And I mean, that's kind of like the fitness piece. I already got off track of what I was going to say.
I
But
do think that's a really good point though, because I think a lot of people think like if you don't post it right away, then it's not worth it. And it's like I literally have so much content in my phone. I'm just like
yeah,
waiting for it. Not that you want to be a perfectionist like me, but just to say like people don't care. Like literally tonight, I'm probably gonna put a couple videos of Halloween because I haven't done any Halloween
yeah,
clips yet. People don't care. Like they just want to
no,
see. They want to be entertained. They don't care if it's like a week old, a month old. Like they
no.
don't care.
Well, and also, I mean, I'm a little bit more like, if it's just my life, if I'm not trying to share information and I'm not trying to like motivate anybody and I'm just sharing my life, I will just throw that stuff on there, like Halloween, like on the night or on the day or whatever. But like if it's my workout, they don't know when I worked out. Like they don't know
Yeah.
when that happened. And like when you're looking at people's stories, you don't know how long that story has been posted. You don't know if that's from 23 hours ago or 30 seconds ago necessarily. And when people are looking at stories, they're really not thinking about it that hard. They're just tapping away and they're scrolling through. So when I first started creating stories, I do think it is worth taking your time to learn the features and figure out what you can do. I do think that's worth your time. And for me, when I first started making stories, it did take me a long time, to the point where I was like, this isn't worth it. This is not worth it at all. But another recommendation that I've heard is like, use as many features as you can and add your location and add a hashtag and tag someone in it and all this stuff. And so I kind of just started to skim that stuff away. And I kind of just was like, okay, well, I like to put music with my workout videos, so I try to do that. But then, like, that's it. Like, I just find a
Well, in
song.
the Instagram train that we just went through did say that stories are more for getting deeper with your audience and not for growing your audience. So yes, you can put hashtags and you can put locations, but like, because I did that for the longest time, I did that on like every single slide. It took way longer, and I could tell that there was like maybe a handful of extra people that would see it. And they wouldn't follow me based on it or anything like that. And so I saw based on personal experience and hearing from the outside, like that I mean, you can sometimes, especially if it's like a lead generator or something that you think, hey, someone might
Mhm.
actually connect with this, but don't feel like you have to do it every single time. So yeah,
And
yeah.
I will sometimes add like one hashtag if I think it captures the idea of what. Like I will trade out hashtags. Like I will use hashtag fitness motivation or I'll use hashtag fitness journey. Like I'll change out the hashtag. Even I don't know if somebody's watching it because it has that hashtag, but the hashtag just sort of ends it who's looking at it, so they know what is my purpose, why am I sharing this. I'm not saying look at me, I'm working out, like versus, and that's like maybe day to day versus when I am promoting a program. When I am like, maybe sometimes I will grab one of those stickers that goes with the program, because then it's like, oh, this is something new. This is what she's sharing about now. But the other thing, when we went into quarantine during pandemic, one of the things that I noticed in my own personal life was there were social interactions that I was really missing out on. And for me in my daily life, those moments were when I first got to school and something happened with my kids in the morning, and I just had to go next door to the teacher that worked next door to me and tell her what happened. Or we would sit down at lunch in the teacher's lounge, and you're all sitting there, so then you start talking about your in-laws, or you start talking about, oh, did you see this article, or did you hear this, what's going on with this? And like these like really simple conversations that you have with people, or even sharing about things like, oh, I mean, recipes, or like a little trick that you learned about, I don't know, some little tool or gadget. I don't know, the little simple things that you talk about. And so, I mean, I don't know, or even like the stories that you tell your spouse when they come home or when you see each other or something like that. But I just started like throughout my day, I would be like, if I was at work and if I was interacting with people, what would I tell them about? Like stupid, simple things, like things that you're like, nobody cares. You're not going to write a long, beautiful, meaningful post about it. It's not that important, but you might snap a picture of it and say something. And then either you make someone smile, or you show, I did a lot like with my daughter when she wasn't sleeping and stuff. I would do a lot of stories about how she would stay up or whatever. You connect with people with like little things that you're struggling with. Not like, maybe not huge things, but just like normal things. So I kind of looked at stories as a way of like just imagining that I'm starting this like very ordinary conversation of just, I'm just going to tell you what's happening to me, and I'm going to show you what's happening to me. I have to snap a picture or I have to take a video. And then people react to it. Like either they just reply to you or you give them, whether it's a poll, where you're asking them a question. And I just started to, when I started practicing creating like just normal polls of like, I don't know, the example Amber always gives is like, how do you take your coffee? Like, do you drink it black or do you have cream in it? But there's like a million different things. You just think about, what would I ask someone? And I found myself like, if I took a picture of food, I could almost always think of a question. Like if I wanted to post something of like a picture of my breakfast or my snack or something, I could almost always think of a question that I could just ask people. And there's, I think Caitlin, you maybe did one about like doing your nails or something like that one time.
Yeah, I always, every time I try to do a story set, I always try to have a poll that's a lead gen and a poll that's about like anything, like just a conversation starter. And like I've done it about, I usually look at like what kind of content I'm going to share and like what can I do a poll about based on what I already have, right? But yeah, I mean anything from, have you tried this before, or have you watched this yet, or really anything. Usually once I look at what I'm planning on doing stories of, I can find something in the list where I'm like, oh, I can ask them about that, or opinions, or if you can even have like drop down, like for instance, one thing that I thought of is I literally, this is all just like the last couple weeks story ideas. Clearly I reach people different ways. If I reached a lot of people through stories, I would prioritize this, and that's a whole nother tangent. But one idea that I had was like an air fryer. We've had an air fryer, literally we got it gifted to us. It's been sitting in our basement for the last like 2 months. I'm like, I really should just do a poll and be like, what should I make with this? Like, Do you have
Yeah.
one? What, and like have a drop down poll and be like, I'll share these ideas for people. And so then people will keep watching your stories for the next because they'll want to see the ideas of what people shared, right? It's like just stuff like that. Like something that you'd Google, think, I should ask
Yeah.
my viewers what they think or what ideas they
Well,
have. Or
and that's exactly the thing. I would say, and everybody's lifestyle is different, everybody's work situation is different. But that is totally something I would sit down in the teacher's lounge at the table
mm-hmm,
with my coworkers, and I'd be like, you guys, do you guys have an air fryer? Like, I've got this,
mm-hmm,
it's in my basement. And I've never used it. I know that I should, like an instant pot is a thing like that. Like,
mm-hmm.
you could even ask, like, do you have an instant pot? And then the response would be like, yes, I love it, never used it, or something like that. Like, those
Right.
would be, or whatever. Like, I just think about it as a way to like begin a conversation, because then if somebody touches your poll, then they are an issue, they're engaging with you, and then you can talk to them. And it isn't, it, like, to me, I just started creating these very simple, very ordinary conversations with people, and I had no agenda. Like, I didn't have an outline, I didn't have it would just be like, I need to post something to my story. Oh, I'll ask people this, that would be interesting. And then depending on how they responded to me, if there were a lot of people, I would sometimes do a copy paste response. But if there were only like 4 people or something, I would do a personalized reply back. I would think about that person. I would follow up with another question, or I would, one of the more recent ones I did, I bought new jeans and I did a story thing, and I asked if I should buy the light jeans or the dark jeans. I had so many people reply to that, and you would have no idea how many people wanted to talk to me about jeans. So then I would reply back to them, and I said something like, I bought both. I'm going to see if I can get by with 2 pairs of jeans. I'm more of a leggings girl these days. How about you? And people talked to me for ages about this topic. Like, it was ridiculous. And it was
And it
just
makes
super,
it fun too. Just like talk
it is
about something other,
fun.
and it's like a non-stress free and
And the thing is, I do think I wasn't very active on it before quarantine, but I do think people are missing these simple interactions. They are missing chatting, because even when you are face to face with people, you have a mask on and it's annoying to talk. And so you don't go by people, you try to get, like, I do think people are more looking for those kind of interactions. And then the other thing too is, like, I'll post things so people can interact with me, but then I'll also, as I watch other people's stories, if I think of something to say, like, they might not have an option for me to interact with them, but if they're talking into their story, or if they're showing something of their kid or whatever, if anything pops into my brain of something to say, I type it to them and I reply to their story.
mm-hmm.
Um, and just to start the conversation that way. Another thing that I do when I'm watching people's stories, when I watch other people's stories, I pay attention to what I like to see. So whether that is the font that they use, or the color tone, or the filter, or like if somebody has a filter and I want to grab that filter, or just like if somebody has like a vibe that I like, where I'm like, oh, I really like what their stuff looks like. It just gives me ideas about how I want my things to look. And that is just like, you have to make it your own. Like, like, do you want it to be more neutral? Do you want bright colors? Do you want, like, I've started to hone it down more, where I like things to be really simple instead of really flashy. I noticed for myself that when people would show videos of themselves making food, I found it very soothing. Like, I would sit and watch people, like if they were like pouring something, or like, I don't know, like, I would just watch that and I'd be like, oh my gosh, that's really pleasant to watch. I'll make videos like that.
Yeah.
So, but like, that's unique to me. I mean, I actually really like videos when people are doing their hair and makeup too, but I don't do those because I don't do my hair and makeup. So But anyway, like I get ideas, like from when I'm watching other people's stories, I get ideas for myself. I have opportunities to interact with them. When I put content out there, I try as much as possible. It's even fun, like if you can't think of a poll option, like that little sliding bar where you can change the emoji, that's a really fun one to put on your put on it too. Like if you think that it's going to make someone laugh, or if you think they're going to love it, or like if you put, like if you share a quote, if you share a post of like a quote that is meaningful to you, the one with like the two hands, because then if people like if they agree with it, like they can slide that one over. I've had a lot of people interact with my things that way. I've also noticed, honestly, a lot of the people that interact with the most with my stories are my challengers. Like they're people that have already joined me, but it's almost like they are engaged with me and they're not afraid of reacting to me because they're not afraid that I'm going to like invite them because they already joined. But like I've had a lot of my challengers tell me they're so glad I'm sharing about 30-day breakaway because they want to do it in the spring. They don't want to do it right now, but they love learning about it. So like as your community grows, you start to feel less like you feel less like you're trying to sell stuff, and you feel more like people are coming to you and they do want to know what you're doing. And I've had a lot of people say that, like, I mean, they don't join me, but when I invite them and they say no, they're like, keep posting. Like they don't think my posting is annoying. They tell me no, but they're like, since you're working out, I kept working out, but I'm doing this other thing. So that's been kind of encouraging.
And it's good
That
to
people.
know too that your stories like change with you. Like they
Mhm.
can evolve and change with time. Cause I know as I'm listening to you, I'm like, yeah, I used to post a lot of stories like that. And I'm like, why do I not post a lot of stories like that? And it's honestly because I find the same thing. Like I find that like now when I look at who's interacting and like watching my stories when I do them, of course there's a lot of people, but for sure the ladies that are in my group. And I think like a huge part of my role in my job right now is to make the people who are like getting results and showing up both as coaches and challengers, like to make them feel like seen, validated, and shouted out. And I know that I can't do that every day in my posts. So that's like a way that I can like, because I've gotten so much feedback from them about how much it helps them stay on track and how much they really like appreciate being, shouted out. And so like literally, and I have so many every day, like because there's so many awesome women in our group that like are always having like
Mhm.
things to celebrate. And so like honestly, a good chunk of my stories whenever I do them are just like celebrations of my coaches or my challengers. And sometimes I think, oh, like I should be more like focused on connecting with people and doing more of the day-to-day stuff. Because that's what my stories used to be about. But I think we need to just remember that all of these are different platforms, right? Like our posts are one option, our stories are another option, emails are another option, like and you just have to kind of, as you've been saying too, you need to learn kind of how you best connect with people. And for most people, stories are that way that they can like connect with people emotionally and make them like realize they're a real person, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's important not to just like follow the successful and do what they're doing because they very well may be using that platform not to connect with people, but for a different way, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if
Well,
that made any sense.
no, that does make sense. And I do think it depends on what stage of your business that you're in. If you are just starting out, I think you use your stories as a way to give glimpses into who you are so people get to know you and give them opportunities to connect with you. I mean, I established connections with people because like I watched the show Grey's Anatomy. Like that's not meaningful, but
Right.
I like connect with people, and like I always think too, like it's worth it for me to put a song with my workout videos because that's just one other thing. It's like, these are the songs that I listen to. Like, this is what I like. And you'll notice if you watch other coaches, you learn a lot by like, you're like, oh, you like that music. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's
That's so true.
interesting. And I feel like it helps people understand you, and it helps you connect with the people that are truly like you. um and like, for example, like one thing for me, a lot of coaches will use the Hyperlapse app to speed up their workout videos, and I never do that because that's not who I am. And in fact, I honestly hope that I'm actually going to connect with people like me who see the speed, like the really fast stuff, and they're like, I don't want to do that. But then they see me and they're like, okay, but if that is you, if that is you and that's your vibe and that's who you want, then that's fun. Then you're going to get people that like to see that. And so I think just thinking about being your authentic self and knowing people are some people are going to see you and be like truly inspired and like aspire to be like you, or maybe be intimidated by you. But other people are going to see that you're very ordinary and that you're like them. And they're going to be like, oh, well, if she can do this, that, I mean, honestly, like, and it does depend on what stage you're at in your business, because I will be very honest with you. Like, Caitlin, when I first joined you, I did sort of feel like, well, if she can do this, I can do this. Like,
good.
like I did. Now, I think that how you're presenting yourself and how you're putting, I mean, you've obviously, everybody improves. And like, I mean, if you compare even the work I'm doing to the work I did when I first started, like, I've also gotten better. And for some people that gains their trust and they're like, oh, you're legit. So then they say yes. But I mean, there's both. Like, you
Right.
just be yourself. Like,
Exactly.
wherever you're at on the journey,
Mm-hmm.
you share where you're at in the journey. And the sooner you start showing everything, the more people know about you. And then they're more impressed with how far you've gotten. And then, Caitlin,
Right.
what you bring up about sharing other people's stories, just think about, well, how will people connect with them? What, like, besides just that transformation picture, the pieces of that story, when you share their quotes, when you share, now you're getting beyond yourself, where you have more stories to share, where more people that you're like, this isn't a piece of me, but this is a piece of my community. And I just think that you're just reaching people, like, it's a different
It's
way of connecting
different.
with people.
Yeah.
They will
Yeah.
connect. It might, like, they will connect with what you shared because they will see a person and hear a story that resonates with them. And they'll, and like you've mentioned before, like, once you do, like, you're at a point where with your results, people that are just getting started, maybe they won't connect with that, but they will connect with one of your challengers. And
Right. So
they
I like how
will.
you, right. Like, I like how you said, just share everything. Like, that's the most important thing. Like, even though I do a lot of shout outs and I do like my fitness, I really try when I'm doing like a story set, I try to include a little bit of everything, a little bit of mom life, a little bit of like raw and real me not being like perfect, a little bit of me being inspirational, a little bit of shout out to my people, a little bit of food, like just
Yeah.
just try not to be that person. And they talked about this a lot on Instagram training too. Like, try not to be that person where it's like they don't even have to look at your stories to already kind of know what to expect in them, right? Like, you want to show them different pieces of you so they can connect with you and be inspired by you and see what you're doing, right? So it's just like, share everything, and then yeah, you'll be able to hit all those marks versus feeling like you're only, you know, raw and real, you're only being inspiring. How terrible would that be, right? But like, yeah, you just want to have a little bit of everything so people, that's usually best.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, literally just tell stories.
Mm-hmm.
Just think about putting a couple different things together. And sometimes my fitness clips, the story comes from the song. I find a song and I start reading the lyrics and I'm like, oh, this is the story I want to tell. Or something happens in my workday at school and I'm like, oh, I'll tell a story about how my kids voted today. Like, a story you would tell anyone, a story you would tell your mom, a story you would tell a coworker, a story you would tell your friend at coffee, a story that you would tell. You just learn how to create it in a graphic in a way that people can see it.
But that was a mic drop. Mic drop. Because I feel like so many people, like, we're down to like a minute left now, but I feel like so many people feel like they don't have stories to tell, and like, that's a perfect example. Like, like going into a coworker, someone you haven't seen for a while, like anything as simple, especially during this quarantine period. You're totally right. People just want to feel connected with you and be asked questions and share their opinion and be
Mhm.
social. Like social media has never been more social than it is now, and people want that.
And people want positive. People want things that make them feel warm and
Mhm.
make it easy and not stressful.
So true. All right, we're gonna get cut off. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm so glad I recorded this because our ladies need to hear it. Stories are awesome. Thank you so much for sharing.
Good to see you.
All right, bye guys.